If you make cocktails, this has happened to you before. You'll find yourself with so many homemade syrups that you don't know where to store them all. Not to mention, they can spoil quickly and end up going to waste. Today we'll take a look at how to tackle that without limiting your creativity for fun cocktails and experiments. Best part is, you'll only need one syrup, which means you can use it for all kinds of cocktails. We'll make 9 different tinctures with 2 different methods. First I'll show 5 tinctures with the maceration at room temperature method. Then we'll cover a faster way of doing it with a Sous Vide. And I'll show you how to use them with a simple daiquiri twist. You could very easily make 9 different ones, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you have friends over. At the end, we'll go over all the pros and cons of making tinctured syrups, so make sure you reach the bottom of the glass. One major benefit is that after today's episode, you'll always be ready when someone says it's cocktail time. This episode was made thanks to the idea from a friend of cocktails who shared that this is his hack for syrups, and we recently made an episode with green tinctures using fresh mint, basil and fig leaves, with some great results and cocktails. I really like the idea of wider range of tinctures, so I started experimenting with different preparation methods as well. But first, we need some base syrup. I'll make a 1-to-1 syrup with gum arabic added for the silky texture and mouthfeel. But even more importantly than that, it will act as an emulsifier for the essential oils from the flavoring agents we'll use for the tinctures. The process is almost as easy as making simple syrup, especially if you have a magnetic stirrer. I'll link it below if you want to grab one. I'm starting with 500 grams of boiling hot water, and I'll place that on the stirrer. You can of course make a smaller batch, but keep the simple proportions. Now add 50 grams of gum arabic, a dried natural gum originally consisting of the hardened sap from the acacia tree. It's water soluble, but it will need some time. The stirrer speeds up the process, otherwise I would leave it overnight for it to fully dissolve. Once dissolved, it's time to add the sugar. 500 grams, same as with water. When that's stirred in and fully dissolved as well, we have our base for today's episode, gum syrup. With this, we'll be able to make 9 different syrups by the end of the episode, with only 1 bottle going in the fridge. To do that, we first need tinctures. Here's how you make them, starting with the classic method, maceration at room temperature. These 5 tinctures will be made using vanilla, mint, coffee, seal and cinnamon, and lemon peel. I'm using a high ABV vodka for this. Look for something with 50% ABV, which is 100 proof. You can also bump up the ABV levels with Clear, but make sure you've got your numbers correct. And you don't need a lot. I'm making 2.5 ounce or 75 ml of each tincture, which will end up being enough for around 2 liters of syrup for every flavor. So to that, I'll add our flavoring agents. Starting with vanilla. Measure out 3 grams of a vanilla bean, cut it in half, scrape out the seeds and place it in the vodka. Then cut up the bean and add that too. Next, mint. This is actually dried mint for making mint tea. 2 grams will be enough. Place that in the vodka and let's move on with coffee. Same as vanilla, we need 3 grams, but we'll need a mortar and a pestle to roughly break it apart. Add to the vodka and let's move on. Next, cinnamon. Seal and cinnamon reign supreme over cassia for things like this, so measure 3 grams of it, and same as with coffee, grind it with a mortar and a pestle to increase its surface area. Add to the vodka and let's move on to lemon. Here we need just the peels, this time 12 grams. Cut this up to smaller pieces and place it in the jar with vodka. You can of course do the same with other citrus peels. The alcohol will now slowly get infused with the essential oils and flavoring compounds from the ingredients we added. I left my batches out for 2 weeks. Give them a shake about once per day and tested how the flavors are developing every few days. But a couple of hours before they're done, we can also make a few batches of tincture with a Sous Vide method. Here we'll make 4 other flavors with cloves, Tonka bean, nutmeg and Sichuan pepper. We need 3 grams of each, and before we add them to their specific Sous Vide bags, I'll crush each of them with a mortar and a pestle. Once we have that in the bags, let's add the vodka. Same as before, 2.5 ounce or 75 ml into each of the bags. Vacuum seal the bags. I recommend a double seal as always. Then place them in the Sous Vide bath, set to 60 degrees Celsius or 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Instead of 2 weeks, this will be done in 3 hours. And now we have them all done and ready to be strained. The procedure is basically the same for all. I'll use a coffee filter, but a cloth filter works as well. For storing and bottling, you can use the same small jars that you use for maceration, and use a pipette when measuring out the tincture. Another option are bitters bottles, either with a dasher top or a pipette. I love these that have a precise measuring scale on them, so link them in the description. Don't forget to add labels so you'll know what each one is, because you'll be able to use them for a long time. After a year or so, they might lose on the intensity of the flavor, but they're still okay to use. Again, bottle and label your tinctures. Another way that you can make tinctures is with rapid infusion, using one of these easy siphons. But either way, Now that we have our tinctures, let's see how to use them to make flavored syrup or directly flavor our cocktails. If you'd like to make flavored syrups using tinctures, you can mix them in a separate bottle and have it ready for a night of cocktails, or as a gift for that cocktail enthusiast in your life. Add 6 ml of tincture to every 180 ml of syrup. Mix, label, and that's it. Or add the right amount of a base syrup and the flavored tincture into the shaker separately as you're making the drink. With that said, feel free to try these ratios and just use them to your liking. If you want a bigger kick of flavor, add a bit more. Do your own thing. Now let's make a daiquiri twist using one of these tinctures. I'll go with a Sichuan tincture and I'll mix it with the evergreen combo of light rum, sugar and lime. Saline is here to boost the flavors. As always, I like to chill the shaker first, followed by the spirit, even though that might not be the best practice, as it is the most expensive ingredient, 2 ounces or 60 ml. Follow that with our sweetener, 3/4 of an ounce or 22.5 ml of gum syrup. For that extra flavor, instead of making a flavored syrup, we're now just adding 0.75 ml of our Sichuan pepper tincture. If you're using dasher bottles, that should be 1 dash. Next, lime super juice, same amount as the syrup, 3/4 of an ounce or 22.5 ml. As I do with most cocktails, add 2 drops of 20% saline solution to boost the flavors. The same way, salt does in cooking. Now it's time to shake the cocktail hard with plenty of ice to properly chill and dilute our Sichuan Daiquiri. Double strain it into a coupe glass, and that's it. Bright, rich and refreshing, with a subtle berry aftertaste. A wonderful daiquiri twist. With that, we've made it to the bottom of the glass. It's time to go over the pros and cons of tinctures and syrups. We already mentioned less wasted space in the fridge and less syrups going bad, but you'll actually use less ingredients for the same flavor, saving your money. For example, we needed just 3 grams of vanilla to make enough tincture for 2 liters of syrup. That's crazy. And with the possibility of adding flavors directly to the cocktail, instead of adding it to the syrups, you can easily combine different flavor pairings. Nutmeg and lemon, orange and coffee, cinnamon and vanilla, you name it. As for the cons, I can actually think of only one. You can't really make tincture syrups with fruits. If you're looking for that, Library & Co is here to save the day, and to make sure we don't end on a negative note, I'll leave their link in the description as well. If you made it all the way to the end, post a droplet emoji in the comments. If you want to see how to make your cocktails green using fig leaf, fresh mint or basil tinctures, check out this video. And for a cocktail made with a combination of 2 tinctures, make sure to check out next week's episode. I'll see you then. Cheers!